Hi, this is Ronya Banks. I'm connecting with you today to talk to you about generosity along with boundaries. Um, I teach, I'm a Buddhist teacher and I teach Buddhism and Buddhist principles. And one of the primary principles in Buddhism, in fact, it was the very first teaching the Buddha used to give to new students, was on generosity and how important generosity is in one's life and in one's practice, and how it's hard to meditate and have a spiritual practice if our heart is closed. And practicing generosity can help us open our hearts in a beautiful and profound way. So, recently I've had a family member who had surgery and has been really having a hard time, an older family member. And, with my generosity and love practice, I was there a lot for this family member, massaging her, helping her, getting food that she wanted. As much as I could, I was there nearly every day for several hours. And after a few weeks, I started realizing that I was getting way behind in my own work schedule uh, with, running the Sangha and all the things I do on this end. And I was starting to feel worn out and stressed out. And listening to my body and paying attention to the sensations that are and the energy levels, I realized that I was overdoing it. I was giving too much, more than I had in my reserves. So I started to pull back, not go every single day to help my family member and to take care of myself. Because how generous can I be if I'm not being generous to myself? So that's our practice. How much can we give that feels great for us and also is very helpful to the person that we're being generous to, as well as being generous to ourselves and taking care of our own needs in a way that we can have a successful life as well. So doing what's called upon us in our life to do and then taking care of ourselves is a really important part of this whole process. And then recently I had a family member, because I have pulled back somewhat, not as, not completely for sure, but a family member who got used to my being there helping a lot of different family member expressed some really strong judgment about me not being there and that I didn't care, etc. And then, of course, working with that, working with the guilt or shame or remorse that came up during that time. But then knowing that I'm coming from a really clean place. Um, so that's what we need to do with our practice, constantly looking at, what is coming from the heart, and taking care of ourselves as well, and then not getting caught into some old cycles of relationship of doing because we feel indebted or doing because we don't want to feel guilty or ashamed, and being able to stand in our truth and yet be a generous, caring, giving person as well. So, yeah, it's very tricky. And it's not that easy because, especially if we have a history with people in our relationships, we tend to, start operating from automatic patterns from our history of how we've always been the caregiver, or we've always been the taker in that relationship, or we've given too much and then abandoned people in our lives and then given a lot more out of guilt and then hid away in order to take care of ourselves. There's so many patterns that we have as human beings that are not necessarily skillful or helpful. So, constantly looking at our motivation for why we are giving, and where are we giving from? Where's this generosity coming from? Are we trying to get something out of it, or are we really giving purely from the heart? And obviously, giving purely from the heart would be the goal. And knowing that sometimes in our lives we're called to give more than other times, and it's okay as long as we're taking great care of ourselves. So may you take great care of yourself, and may you be very generous to the people around you. And may you learn how to receive from others as well. Thank you.